Want to know more about Frank's life? I highly recommend Zappa the movie, the Alex Winter documentary. There's not a lot of live music footage in there, so if you're going to go there for like the music, it's not. But if you want to know more about Frank the person, you know, kind of the reason behind some of his stuff, that fly keeps bothering me. Check out the movie. It's definitely a very educational and entertaining. Frank was an entertaining person. So yeah, check it out. Enjoy. What's up, Internet? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Shaggy, the opinionated hippie, currently ranking and reviewing every single Frank Zappa album ever made during his lifetime. I'm going to do that once after his lifetime when I'm done with this. And right now, we are on album number 33, You Can't Do That on Stage Anymore, Volume 4. I originally had another album at this spot. Another album that was actually even closer to number 1 on the list, but that album keeps getting pushed back because, so when I got to like, I don't know, I think it was 27, I kind of was having trouble, so I did some analytics. I broke it down like song by song, track by track, solo by solo, and the album that is no longer at number 33 was ranked pretty high, and then I realized over time that I never want to listen to that album. It's just something, I put it on and I enjoy parts of it, but I don't ever want to listen to it. So it's now closer to the back, while this one, which analytically did not do as well, I really enjoy listening to because this has some of the highest highs of the entire You Can't Do That on Stage Anymore series. Even today, after everything the ZFT has released since Frank's passing, this album still has treats that aren't available elsewhere. So this was released, I don't even know when this was released. I think this was released in 91, the 4th of the series. It's one of the more eclectic ones. You know, Frank would have themes for the last couple. One was an entire concert. One had way too much 1984 stuff on it. This one is a little bit of everything, though it does kind of lean toward the 80s, but there's some awesome stuff from the 70s also. Actually, it's pretty well balanced, to be honest with you. This also has, we're going to start off with, this also has the luxury of having the worst track in the entire Stage series. It is so bad that it's almost worth listening to because it is that. You can't imagine that this song could sound this bad, but it does. And of course, it's courtesy of the 1984 band, which, if you've been keeping track and you're a fan of the 84 band, they're not really represented on this list at all yet. They have not quite made this list except for right now. And it's because they have the worst song on this collection. We're going to start off with that. Willie the Pimp. Willie the Pimp live by the 84 band is an atrocity that must be heard to be fully appreciated. The 84 band is pretty much not my favorite because of the sound. Wackerman had a, I think, completely 100% electronic drum kit, so it sounds like the 80s. Alan Zavad was essentially, he was the keyboardist, the pianist, highly talented musician, did not belong in Frank's band. He was replacing Ed Mann on percussion. He was replacing Tommy Mars on keyboards. He was essentially being a horn section with these horrible kind of keyboard horn sounds every once in a while. Zavad did not bring the personality to this band that this band needed. So this band just kind of sounds generic and very routine. And there were good moments on the tour, but for the most part, not. And their version of Willie the Pimp is everything that's wrong with this band. It's horrible. Solo is like a minute long. The arrangement is just bad. It's just like to take a song as sleazy and dirty and in your face and just essential as Willie the Pimp and reduce it to what the 84 band does makes me want to cry. I remember when this was released and I was so excited to see what a live Willie the Pimp sounded like. What a disappointment. And so I did not like this album for a while just because it's like the 4th song on here. So it's just hard to get through. But I eventually came to like it because it's so bad. And then the rest of this album is amazing. So anyways, let's go through it track by track just because I have time, right? So it opens up with Little Rubber Girl, which is the end of I think a Go Cry on Somebody Else's Shoulder, they did that in the Halloween 78 shows, and then they did like a little improv thing at the end of it where they just kind of made up stuff, and they made up Little Rubber Girl. So this is just the made up thing. Frank did not include the Go Cry on Somebody Else's Shoulder. He just included the sort of improvised one-time only performance. It's an interesting little thing. It doesn't work starting off the album. I wish he'd put it somewhere else, but it's worth a listen. Stick Together, which, Man from Utopia, not a good track. An 84 version of My Guitar Wants to Kill Your Mama. Again, this band hurting some really good songs, but somewhat entertaining. You get the atrocious Willie the Pimp. And then you get something that Frank did a lot from on Volume 4 and Volume 6 in particular, in which he edited together songs from different eras, like in one song. So you get a Montana, but the Montana, I think, starts off in 73, but then it cuts to 84. So you don't get a guitar solo, you just get just the vocals only, including the I ride a small tiny horse, his name is Mighty Little, even that part, but no guitar solo. Plus part of it is the 84 band, so it just sounds horrible. So you get that crazy edit, which, okay, kind of it's a waste of a Montana, considering that Volume 2 has probably the single best Montana ever. So there is no reason for this to be on here. Then you get to two of the greatest releases in this entire series, Brown Moses and The Evil Prince. These are from the album that shall not be named. They do not sound this good on the album that should not be named. The Evil Prince is actually the spoken part of, so on the album that should not be named, it's essentially a lot of songs that appeared on other albums. One of them is The Torch Never Stops. And instead of a guitar solo on that, there is this spoken word interlude, sort of this, I don't know what you call it, this speech. This is that, the Evil Prince track is that turned into this full, overblown, theatrical, just this, sounds like a Broadway production, but good, with an amazing guitar solo. So Brown Moses is the 1984 band at its absolute best. Vocals are tight, tuna sounds amazing. It's got this great bump, just do. I mean, just this great, almost sounds like a Grateful Dead first set jam, and then goes into The Evil Prince, which is one of the highlights of this entire set. You don't go near the album that shall not be named, which you don't know what that is yet. But if you see Brown Moses on an album, don't buy that album. Buy this one. Phenomenal. Then you get an Approximate. Great song. I think this is one of the Steve I versions, an 82 one. Approximate's just a great song. Short little thing where, again, I think that you pick your own, I don't know. It's a crazy song where it's different every time because they just have to hit it at certain times, but they can play whatever note they want. So it's kind of, they approximate what the song sounds like. You get a Love of My Life, which is pretty good song. It works really well in this context because it's between some awesome stuff. You get a Let's Move to Cleveland that has an Archie Shepp solo on there. It's kind of a disappointment. It doesn't work for me. It could be better. There are better Let's Move to Cleveland solos from 84. This is from an 84 show. It's just not that good. I didn't really like it. You get You Call That Music, which is the original Mothers Making Noise. You Call That Music. You know, this works well because it's between two sort of, solo passages. Then you get another absolute highlight, a must hear until we get the Halloween 78 box set. This is the Pound for a Brown solos from one of the Halloween 78 shows. Mars and Wolf, O'Hearn, some amazing bass. Barrow and O'Hearn are on bass. Caliuta on drums. This is just phenomenal. This is why people love Zappa and get into tape trading, is for moments like this. This is just an incredible jam. It's incredible improv. It's just everything you could ever want. It's just easily one of the top 10 highlights of the entire You Can't Do That on Stage Anymore series is this solo. I think it's 6.5 minutes long. You get a Black Page from 84, which is pretty good. And then you get 2 88 tracks. You get a Take Me Out to the Ball Game. The band sings it. Ike kind of pretends he's a baseball announcer. It's pretty funny. The horn section does a really sleazy version of Take Me Out to the Ball Game. it wasn't played as a standalone piece. I want to say it occurred at like the end of A Pound for a Brown. And then it went right into Filthy Habits, the 88 version of Filthy Habits, which is not quite as sinister and evil and dirty as the Studio Sleep Dirt version, but it's still a great song. And then the first disc of this closes out with the original version of The Torture Never Stops, the blues version, as performed on the Bongo Fury tour and sung by Captain Beefheart. Sounds nothing like what would finally get released on Zoodalures. It is another must hear. Not the best version, and I'm pretty sure there's a fade out at the end when like these would go on for like 20, 25 minutes during that tour. At least the one tape I have of A Torture Never Stops, I think goes on for like 25 minutes. So this one isn't that full jam at the end. Frank probably should have done that, but it's worth checking out because it's the original version of The Torture Never Stops. So that's side one. So other than like the first 5 tracks, an impeccable disc, just an absolutely amazing journey. The second disc, again, kind of starts out great, has some weak tracks, and then ends just amazingly well. So the second disc starts out with Church Chat, which is Frank talking about Steve Vai and groupies. Then it goes into probably the best Stevie spanking ever. I think it's like a 11-minute Stevie spanking with a great Vai solo and one of the best Frank solos, I think. I mean, this is just guitar drenched 6-string orgy in your face metal. And Frank's solo has like 3 distinct parts. It starts off where he just kind of attacks your typical metal riff, and then he plays like the low on the low end, just like the top 2 strings for a good like minute and a half. It almost sounds like a bass solo. It is just so like deep and like just heavy and just absolutely ridiculous. And then he goes back and just tears it up again. Just him and Vai going at it. It is just the best performance. It is over the top. It is in your face. It is just another one of the highlights of the entire disc series is this version of Stevie spanking. And I think there's a video of this on YouTube. One of the reasons Frank chose some of the songs he did in the liner notes of You Can't Do That on Stage Anymore, he would say, is it a one-time performance? Is there video available? I'm pretty sure there's video available of this, and it's only the guitar solo. It's not the actual song. It starts after the lyrics, and it's just the solo. It's like 8 minutes long on YouTube, so check it out if you want to see it live. Then you get an Outside Now from 82, which is pretty good. 82 band did that. Oh no, it's an 84. So yeah, 84 bringing a good Outside Now. Ike always sang this well. Pretty decent guitar solo. You get 2 things I don't need released, a Disco Boy and a Teenage Wind, both from 82. You don't need another Disco Boy in this series. You don't need a live Teenage Wind. They're kind of enjoyable to listen to, but they really don't need to be on here. Then you get a really good Truck Driver Divorce that is from 84, except for the guitar solos from 82. So whatever, Frank, do your thing. But great guitar solo. Truck Driver Divorce to me was like one of the more like Grateful Dead-ish type solos in which it really was kind of out there like a playing in the band type thing where you really were a lot more freeform than his other solos. And I think it's just a really interesting solo. Then you get a 4-song run that again is the reason this series exists. You get a Florentine Pogan, which I love, my all-time favorite song. It is my second all-time favorite song. It is a Florentine Pogan that has some 74 and 79 in it. 79 did not have a solo in it. The ending of this is from 79, so there's no solo, but it's still worth listening. Then you get Tiny Sick Tears, which is a original Mothers improv track where Frank was essentially mocking the Doors song, The End. And it is just him improvising live on stage, these lyrics, while the band just kind of jams behind him. It's your typical Frank humor, satirical, kind of stupid. There's, some masturbation jokes in there, but it's pretty entertaining. Then you get 74, George Duke, Napoleon Murphy Brock, that band doing their improv thing. So typically in the 74 tour, Frank would play Montana. Then Montana would go into the hook, which is like dun 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 ba ma dun 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 ba na, and then George Duke would improvise. Frank would sometimes, as the tour went on, say things like, George Duke is hitting a tiny cymbal with his hand. After he done hit his cymbal, he's going to hit his thumb. Ouch, now he's going to play for us. And then as the tour went on, sometimes George Duke would just improvise on the keyboards. Sometimes he would tell a story. This one is him telling the story of some groupies, and the song is called Smell My Beard, so you can see where that's going. But after George Duke does his thing, Napoleon Murphy Brock is improvising some lyrics, it goes into a full-on funk jam called The Booger Man. And it's just like great 70s funk. Duke is making up lyrics, Brock is making up lyrics, everybody's just jamming. Typically, when this was over, it would go into Dupree's Paradise. There is no Dupree's Paradise on here, sadly, but just this part alone is, again, one of the best parts of this entire series. I mean, you have, let's finish off this thing before I go through this. After that, you get a Carolina Hardcore Ecstasy. I think one of the great overlooked tracks in Frank's canon. I think this is underrated. Does not get the love it deserves. The solo on here is phenomenal. This is one of the songs the '84 band did really, really well. This suited their strengths, this song. So I absolutely love this. And then the entire thing closes out with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 50 doo-wop songs performed by both the 82 and the 84 band. You get, 6. You get Little Girl of Mine, The Closer You Are, Johnny Darling, No No Cherry, The Man from Utopia, Mary Lou. Just back to back to back to back to back. These were usually performed as encore numbers when Frank did them live, so it works here to close out this too. There's also a little thing in there called Are You Upset, in which an audience member tells Frank to F off, and then Frank kind of, says, that's the nicest thing anybody said to me all day. So it's an amusing little track to segue from Carolina into Little Girl of Mine. But anyways, it's a phenomenal set. Like, I love talking about this disc. It is one that I think needs to get more love. Other than the atrocious Willie the Pimp, which is so bad it's worth listening to, these songs are still worth hearing now. Like, you cannot find this stuff on any other release. Brown Moses and the Evil Prince, don't check out the originals. You get the Pound for a Bound solos, which are going to be relevant until the Halloween 78 gets released. Take Me Out to the Ball Game and the Filthy Habits from 88, which I don't think you're ever going to see those anywhere else. The original Torture Never Stops. I don't think we're getting a Bongo Fury show for whatever reason. The best Stevie spanking probably ever played. The Smell My Beard Booger Man, which you can never have enough George Duke in the 74 band. And then the Tiny Sick Tears, The Doors parody. This is going on for way too long. I love this album, guys. I don't know why it's this. This probably should be higher on the list. I may have to redo this, but right now it's here at number 33. Check it out. I love it. Take it easy, guys. Let me know what you think of it if you check it out. I would like to know what anybody thinks of that Willie the Pimp, because I hate it. I'd like to know if anybody out there actually thinks it's any good. So anyways, that's it. I'm done talking, man. Take care. Enjoy your day. Bye.